If building wealth has started to feel dull, like watching paint dry while everyone chases the next big thing, listen up. That boredom is not a warning sign at all. It's the sound of the machine working exactly as intended. The people who actually get rich are rarely the loudest ones. They're quietly yawning while their money does the work. If your financial life feels exciting right now, something is probably wrong. Because excitement in money usually means risk. Real wealth moves the opposite direction, getting quieter and quieter until the boring thing becomes something that carries you forever. Here's the problem. Your brain is wired for novelty, built to notice the new, loud thing that just moved. That same wiring still runs inside you, and it does not care one bit about your retirement account at all. When your money plan becomes a steady, repeating routine, your brain quietly reads it as failure and falling behind. Your feed is full of people who supposedly turned $1,000 into a fortune over a single weekend. All of it is engineered to make the slow, boring path feel like you are the only one being left out. You are watching a highlight reel that hides every loss and edits out everyone who blew up, chasing that feeling. Let me show you what boring actually looks like when it wins. Starting with a man named Ronald Reed. He lived in a small town in Vermont, pumping gas for a living and later sweeping floors as a janitor. He wore the same coat held together with safety pins and drove a used car well into his 90s. Nothing about him said money. Nothing about his life looked anything like the internet's idea of success at all. When Ronald Reed died at 92, his family got the surprise of their lives waiting behind that plain coat. He had quietly built a fortune of about $8 million and left roughly $6 million to his local library. There was no big salary and no magic stock. What he did was almost unbearably simple to describe. He spent far less than he made, bought shares of solid companies, and then did the hardest thing. He waited. For every $50 he earned, he invested about 40 of it and then left it completely alone for decades. That is the whole strategy. So boring that most people would quit it inside of a single year. You might think this janitor was a lucky one-off, but the largest study of millionaires ever done says otherwise. Ramsey Solutions surveyed more than 10,000 millionaires, and the results looked nothing like the fantasy everyone imagines. 79% received no inheritance at all, and only about 31% averaged a six-figure income their whole careers. A full third of them never once cracked six figures in any single year of work throughout their lives. 8 out of 10 build their money through a boring workplace. Retirement account most people barely think about. On average, it took them around 28 years to get there. Not 28 days, not one viral moment. The typical millionaire did quiet, repetitive, boring things for nearly 3 decades while the world insisted there was a faster way. There is almost never a faster way. Only the boring way done consistently for far longer than people stay interested before the pieces of this machine. Here is the one boring number that matters more than your salary: savings rate. Most of us obsess over how much we earn and completely ignore how much we actually keep, which is backwards. In mid-2026, the national personal savings rate has been hovering down around 2.7% of income across the country for most of the last several decades. That number averaged closer to 8%, nearly 3 times what it is now. A third of those millionaires never earned 6 figures yet still built real wealth by keeping a high and glamorous savings rate. A person earning a modest income with a high savings rate quietly cruises past someone earning double who keeps nothing. The paycheck gets all the attention. The savings rate does all the actual work behind every quiet fortune. So let's walk through what the boring machine is made of, piece by piece, so you recognize it in your own life. The first piece is the least glamorous savings account you'll ever open. And in 2026, the gap is enormous. A good high-yield account pays around 4%. The national average pays about 0.38%. And giant banks often pay 0.01% on a $25,000 emergency fund. That difference is roughly $1,000 a year versus about $2.50. Moving your money into that boring account takes one form and a few minutes, and then you never think again. The second piece is automation. Arguably the most powerful boring thing you can possibly do for your future. Flip the order. Pay yourself first automatically before you can even touch the money sitting in your checking account. A quiet, invisible transfer moves money the day after payday while you sleep, and you learn to live on the rest. The third piece quietly outperforms almost any investment, and that is paying off high-interest credit card debt. A 20% balance means every dollar you pay down earns you a guaranteed 20% return, no risk attached. No stock and no clever trade can promise a guaranteed 20%. Yet it hides inside the chore you keep avoiding. The fourth piece is free. Money people leave sitting on the table year after year without ever claiming it. If your employer matches your 401k contribution, that dollar for dollar match is an instant 100% return. In 2026, you can put up to $24,500 into that account, though few ever come close. The fifth piece is where your saved money goes. And once again, the winning answer is the boring one. A simple low-cost index fund owns a slice of hundreds of the biggest companies instead of betting on one winner. The American stock market has returned around 10% a year on average, closer to 7% after inflation. The boring investor buys the whole market on a schedule no matter what the news is screaming that week. Now let's look at the engine that makes all this worth the boredom. Compound growth, where patience beats intensity. Invest $500 monthly at 10% for 10 years, and you'd have put in $60,000 of your own. Your account would be worth a little over $100,000, which is nice but not yet life-changing. Keep that same habit running for 30 years instead, contributing $180,000 of your own money total. Your account would be worth roughly $1.1 million, almost $1 million of it pure growth alone. At around 10% a year, your money roughly doubles every 7 years, doubling again on top of itself. The early years feel painfully slow because the numbers are still small and the doubling has barely gotten started. This flat, dull stretch does not mean the plan is broken. It simply means the plan is finally loading. The real explosion happens in the later years, and you only get there by staying bored enough in your seat. Now let's talk about the one ingredient that matters even more than the amount you save, which is timing. Bethany starts investing $400 monthly at age 25 and keeps it running on autopilot until 65. Her coworker Nadia intends to start too, but life gets in the way and she doesn't begin until 35. Nadia invests the same $400 monthly at the same return all the way to 65 as well. By 65, Bethany has around $2.5 million, while Nadia has only around $900,000. Bethany only contributed $48,000 more than Nadia, yet that head start became a gap of $1.6 million. Time is the one ingredient you can never buy back. So starting now is the single most valuable move. Compare all that patience to the exciting path constantly being sold, day trading, crypto flips, and leveraged baits everywhere. Excitement in investing is almost always a cost you pay, never a bonus you actually earn in return. Every thrilling trade carries a fee, a tax, a spread, and a very real chance of losing everything. The people posting their wins never show you their blown-up accounts, and there are far more of those. The common investor treats their money like a garden they water and leave alone to grow steadily over time. The excited investor treats it like a slot machine, and the house always wins in the end eventually. There is a stretch, usually early on, where saving faithfully genuinely feels like absolutely nothing is working at all. Your balance crawls upward, friends post vacations, the market has one scary year, and your account actually drops noticeably. That feeling is not a signal to change course. That feeling is the actual test everyone eventually has to pass. The person who panics and sells in the scary year locks in the loss they were trying to avoid. The bored person who keeps the automatic transfer running is the one holding the reward everyone else walked away from. Your ability to stay calm when nothing feels like it's happening might be the most profitable financial skill you build. The people quietly getting rich usually do not look rich at all, and they do it entirely on purpose. The Ramsey study found the typical millionaire lives well within their means and drives ordinary cars for years on end. They are not spending money to look wealthy. They are keeping it so they can actually become wealthy instead. A bigger paycheck usually arrives with a bigger apartment and a lifestyle that expands to swallow every extra dollar. That is how people earning a lot still end up to missed paychecks from disaster. While a quiet janitor dies rich, the flashy life spends the future to impress the present. The boring life does the exact opposite instead. So how do you actually live this without losing your mind to the dullness of the whole process? You change what you are measuring. Excitement measures how a single day feels. Wealth measures what a decade builds. Ask yourself a few plain questions. Is the automatic transfer still firing every single payday without fail? Is the money still flowing into that boring index fund? And is the emergency fund still earning its quiet 4%? Are you still spending less than you make? If yes, you are winning even on the days it feels like nothing. The boredom does not mean you are doing it wrong. Read it as the receipt proving you are doing it right. The excitement you keep craving is what it feels like to gamble. The calm you keep doubting is what it feels like to build. The next time your financial life feels flat and a little dull, I hope you hear that completely differently now. That flatness is the sound of a plan that works. The steady transfer and the patient index fund compounding quietly. Where are you in your own boring wealth journey right now? Just starting or already deep in the slow middle? What is the most boring money habit you have that you are secretly a little proud of doing? Drop it in the comments, because someone today is one honest comment away from believing the calm path actually works.